So I entitled this talk a little bit, So Close and Yet So Far. So what has happened in the last 2 years in the South African bioimaging community? First, a brief reminder, we have a very diverse background in South Africa with very different capabilities of facilities across the country, some local hubs, some pockets of expertise, all the way to nothing at all. And so there is a major challenge in promoting bioimaging in the country. Briefly, we've had a fantastic history with global bioimaging. It has strengthened our perspective on how and where we could position South African bioimaging overall. And some favorable developments have happened, such as certain grants in the imaging field, and also a lot of kind of reorganization with new people, young people. So I would say there is a kind of wind of change happening in the field, which is very exciting and very important, because we had lots of senior colleagues retiring and our pool of experts is incredibly small. So of course, access to know-how and access to equipment is incredibly important in South Africa, with very resource limited and with a very resource limited environment. And here I would just like to stress that we have major polarity and fragmentation across our institutes. We have 26 public universities. Of these, only 9 feature with some kind of imaging capabilities. And of these, only 3 are offering imaging as a service, and that also under very, very different funding models. So that causes various challenges in itself. But overall, we have major opportunities if they can be unlocked. And I would like to share a little bit what has happened in the last 2 years in terms of the challenges, but also the opportunities and the hope with that. So all in all, our experience has been that the last 2 years have been incredibly hard. Challenges have overall deepened in the sense that access to know-how and equipment has been limited, simply due to the overall restrictions. Also just running the research environment in terms of reagents, time of arrival, importing very simple materials and probes and so forth has been a major challenge. We've had major funding cuts in the last 2 years. We have a massive youth unemployment. So the country is overall in a very tough place, and we feel that in our PIs. The PIs, of course, are choosing data that are kind of safe data and that maximize gain so that students can be brought through. Overall, we've also had, of course, training that had been on skeleton staff, so it has been limited, although there have been some fantastic developments as well. But that has overall caused a lot of anxiety in our students, and so challenging, one can say. So this creates some kind of vicious cycle that is not favorable for the imaging environment. However, we see that these pockets that are existing and that are thriving, that these provide kind of exit points. And here it is so important that we are linked to well-staffed core facilities that are strong, even though they might be financially not highly viable or not strongly supported by the university or governmental structures. So here, South African bioimaging, and note that there has been wonderful work on a new logo, wishes to support building a network and creating support structure. GBI has here been instrumental. Of course, critical is international funding. The state funding is highly limited. And of course, imaging is costly, equipment time is costly. So these are all very important exit points that we wish to foster in the next years to come. Another challenge that we see is a kind of brain drain of those graduates that had been exposed to fantastic imaging. So either they continue to build and implement their knowledge against the odds, which is of course a win for us in the imaging community, but that is very hard. And often the young graduates or young academics that wish to build an imaging group face other challenges, and I indicate many walls to break here, such as an environment that drives teaching and not research. And so there are various medical schools that are actually very, very limited in their research and hence their openness to imaging. The second one is that students give in and reorientate according to the requirements of the institution. Those are lost, and our aim is, of course, to win these back by bringing them into the bioimaging community. And then there are those that move abroad, that seek opportunities abroad successfully, which is wonderful for us to see in terms of our training abilities, but those are lost. And of course, here again, our wish is to bring them into our network to strengthen our local network. So in the last 2 minutes, briefly, also wonderful opportunities, however, have emerged, fantastic setups in the sense of remote training activities, larger training groups, larger virtual training groups, remote access for data analysis. There have been fantastic developments there. And also overall, the realization of community value has increased. What we are also noticing is there is increasingly an awareness for the strength and power of bioimaging. And that is new. That is really a new trend due to those activities that are currently happening, that are utilized, grants that are utilized, initiatives that are utilized, and these will assist us in building the bioimaging facility network. We have a lot of willing, committed, and invested people. We have fantastic opportunities, increasingly global exposure, and increasingly activities to not only build in South Africa, but also in Africa. You will hear that by my colleague later this afternoon. But we require hands on deck, and we require support structures for that. Currently, most activities run on related to bioimaging run on a voluntary base, which has, of course, very limited capacity. And the last minute, fantastic developments have happened. New technologies have been implemented. New pipelines have been implemented. These are, of course, creating wonderful hope and avenues for growing bioimaging, and also initiatives to connect bioimaging with diseases that are of national priority, diseases that cause stigma in communities. Here's just an example where some of imaging data have been linked to art, and in the same vein also translated into languages that hasn't been done before. And these are all wonderful developments. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and if there are questions, it will be wonderful. Thank you so much, and great to be here.